Hi, it's Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to Career Coach Office Hours. I spend time on Tuesdays and Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern answering questions from folks about job search, hiring, management, leadership, doing a career transition, or if you want advice about a particular workplace issue. So if you've got questions on one of those topics, put it into chat, and this way I can answer your question and help you. Now, I'm going to say Friday's going to be my last show before Thanksgiving. I'm taking next week off, spending time with family. Um, we head up to visit our son in the New York area, and I'm looking forward to spending a little time with him. Now, in addition, I'm going to mention connect or follow me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. My network tends to be a lot bigger than most people's, with the result being that you connect with me, you wind up with a lot more connections than you did going into it. So connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Mention that you saw the show. I like knowing I'm helping some folks. And like I said, once we're connected, your network is going to grow a lot. In addition, my website, thebiggamehunter.us, is an incredible resource with more than 12,000 posts that you can watch, listen to, or read that will help you. While you're there, you can schedule time for a free discovery call or a coaching session with me. Find out about my courses, books, and guides. Again, a lot there to help you. And I'll also mention, you also should be following me on YouTube at JobSearchTV.com. Let me just get there. There we go. Oops, sorry, wrong thing there. Subscribe to JobSearchTV.com on YouTube. There's an app by the same name that's available on Amazon. So you can watch it on a Fire TV or a Fire Stick. Again, JobSearchTV.com app on those platforms. And on other streaming services, you can watch me on BingeNetworks.tv. And that streams to like more than 300 different platforms. Again, you can watch me on your big screen set. And my podcast, No BS Job Search Advice Radio, which last week celebrated episode 2500. And on Monday is the 12th anniversary of the podcast. No show, no podcast in the job search space has as many episodes as No BS Job Search Advice Radio. So listen, subscribe. You can do it in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, where it's a video podcast, Amazon Music, Google Play, wherever you listen to podcasts, or almost any place you listen to podcasts, it'll be available for you. And again, if you've got a question, you can put it into chat. I'd be very happy to answer it. Now, I've gotten a bunch of questions from folks. They message me through LinkedIn because they can't make the show live. So they send me a message through LinkedIn, and I'll answer it during the show. However, if I don't get to it because I've got more people live, then you get pushed off to the next episode. So here's the first question. How can company leaders encourage employees to give feedback without making them feel attacked or judged? This question looks similar to one I answered previously. It really starts off with, you can't control that. So people will feel criticized. You are judging them. That's the reality to them. You're judging their performance. And you don't have as much information as they do. I'm not saying they're always right, but you don't have as much information as they do when they're making decisions. You're playing Monday morning quarterback. So Company leaders who encourage their employees to give feedback, I don't want to say they're immune to feeling attacked. They want to hear the feedback. They want to know what's going on. They want to know what their people, the organization's employees, think about performance and suggestions from folks. Now, again, if they respond, will you feel attacked or criticized? Probably, because after all, this is a leader, a C-suite professional in an organization who's responding to your criticism and basically saying, I disagree. So would you feel criticized? Probably. And thus they might as well. So there's no control over this. Again, what you can do is put yourself in their shoes, be respectful and courteous, and say, maybe I don't know everything that you do, but as an outsider looking at the problem, this is what I'm seeing. Um, could you explain what your thought process was in making that decision? And you're not attacking them. What you're doing is inviting them to explain why they made a choice, and that's really your one shot. And then at the end of that, say, thank you. Had you considered this? And they may say, yeah, we considered it. We shot it down for this reason. Okay, thank you. That really explains a lot. Because again, you're being courteous and respectful in how you present your information or your opinions and looking for their thoughts in making their choices. Okay. I got a case study in a job application after 2 interviews, after which the response was negative, which I think means they were turned down. Now the position is open again, 2 weeks after the negative answer. Should I apply again? Probably not. You can basically ask them. You don't have to apply. You could message the person who coordinated interviews previously and say, I got a rejection a few weeks ago, and I see the position's open again. Does it make sense to represent me for the role, or is my candidacy rejected for now? And they'll tell you what's going on, because remember, on their side of this, they want to fill positions so they look like heroes to their hiring managers. And they're there to fill jobs. So ask them if you should reapply. Ask them if they can speak with the manager and see whether or not they would reconsider you. After all, you got through 2 interviews. Now, they may turn around and say, your case study really wasn't strong. That's why we rejected you. In which case, it's over. That makes it very easy. Okay. Oh, yes. Is it a good sign that I made the recruiter laugh during a phone screen? There's no way of knowing. Because you could have made them laugh because your answer was idiotic. You could have made them laugh because it was actually a funny comment that you made. So there's no way of knowing whether they were laughing with you or at you. And that makes it impossible to know whether it's a good sign or not. Okay. I got a high-paying job in a multinational corporation, and I faked my resume. What would happen if they found out that I faked my resume? So you got the job, they interviewed you, but you lied on the resume. The question comes down to, when you filled out the application, did you lie there too? If you lied on the application, that's grounds for termination. If you had never filled out an application, which I doubt, if you filled out an application truthfully, different than the resume, don't worry about it. Eventually, they may turn around and say, we're a little confused here. Your resume said this, your application said that. I wasn't sure when I wrote the resume, and the application's correct. Applications are legal documents. Resumes are not. And thus, If you lied on an application, it is grounds for being fired. I don't think you want to be fired, do you? So if you're ever in this situation again, do not lie on your application. Seriously, do not lie on your application. The truth is, you really shouldn't lie on your resume, because if they find out that you lied on your application, it's grounds to be fired. If you lied on your resume and you never filled out an application, it creates uncomfortable moments for you later on, because eventually they'll write to your current employer or that former employer that you tried to cover up, and try and verify your dates and salary. And when they find inconsistencies, as I've seen happen on several occasions, they fire people on the spot. So I'll just simply say, if they find out you can be fired, I don't think most people want that to happen. Do you? Okay, so with that, let me just simply say, if you've got a question about job search, hiring, management, leadership, a career transition, or want advice about a particular workplace issue, put your question in the chat so I can answer it for you. How can I make it clear that I'm not okay with working more than 40 hours a week in an interview professionally? Let me clean up the question. How do I make it clear that I don't want to work more than 40 hours a week while I'm interviewing? And the answer is, you can't say to them, I don't want to work more than 40 hours. What you can say is, tell me what a typical day or week is like, and listen to their answer. If you hear of people coming in at 6:30 and leaving at 5, you have your answer. They're not a 9 to 5 shop. It's really that simple. Ask them what a typical day is like. And then you can follow up and say, are there atypical days that show up and with different schedules than this? Oh, yes, we definitely have those. A lot of fun, a lot of chaos, a lot of crazy. Oh, yes, a lot of stuff going on. So let them tell you about a typical day, an atypical day, and listen carefully to their answer, because they will tell you what their expectations are with regard to time. If you don't believe them, well, they're telling you up front. So ask them. It's really the case. Ask them, and this way you'll have your answer. What's the best response to? What are you seeking to discover that relates to this job in a job interview? I think part of the answer deals with the answer I just gave. As you interview with people on staff, not your manager yet, but as you talk to the staff, you might just simply say, how are they to work for? What's the work like? Any oddities or peculiarities that show up here? Because as you know, surprises are rarely good. So you ask the staff questions. How are they to work for? What do they do well? What could they do better? It's questions that you might be asked along the way that you want to ask of them too, but it's about joining rather than working there. In addition, you may want to ask, what sort of institutional friction exists here? It's one of my favorite questions, because no one ever tells you the problems of working at these firms. They all paint a rosy picture that you discover isn't true after you're on board. So you want to ask them, what sort of institutional friction exists here that might cause someone not to succeed? Oh, this is the perfect place. Really? What happened to the last 4 people who sat at the desk I'm going to be sitting at? Why did they leave? You see, on their side of this, they always paint a rosy picture, and they never tell you about the problems. Talking about why someone left is a good way for you to find out what the issues are in an organization, and they don't reveal them unless you ask. So I'll just simply say, um, what are you seeking to discover that relates to the job or the population? Real simple. I'm looking to find out what it's like to work here, how success is going to be measured during my tenure here, and what do they like to work for or work with. Let's continue on. And the next question is, give me 1 second. Oh, I made a mistake there. Clicked the wrong window. There we go. How do you impress an interviewer by introducing yourself? Huh? Okay. Every interviewer is different. Every interviewer is struck by different things. You are not going to get hired based upon how you introduce yourself. You can be rejected for that reason. So most people go for neutral in terms of how they respond to or how they introduce themselves or being how someone introduces themselves. And what you might do is if you're doing this in person, you might say to them as you extend the hand to shake their hands, you might say, hi, I'm using myself as an example. Hi, I'm Jeff Altman. Great to meet you. Shake their hands, smile on their face, twinkle in your eyes. You look like a happy guy when you introduce yourself. Smile on your face, twinkle in your eyes. It all makes a difference. If you just introduced yourself by going, hi, I'm Jeff Altman. You can call me Jeff. Boring. You want to create an impression. Now, don't lose track of what you wear. Expensive clothing makes people look better. And thus, if you're in a situation where you have a choice between off the rack or custom, go for custom if that's affordable for you. If not, just make sure everything is properly pressed, your shoes are not scuffed, that you look like $1 million or $5 million, whatever it is. You get the point. What are some good groups for job seekers? Excuse me, I apologize. For job seekers on LinkedIn. Well, groups is one of those features on LinkedIn that is not doing well. Most of the groups are pretty barren. Lots of members, not a lot of communication. I personally don't find that groups are really helpful, except insofar as that you can message people who are members of the same group as you. Beyond that, no real purpose to them. So, what are some good LinkedIn groups for job seekers? Answer, none. I'm going to do one more question today because as you probably noticed, I am tired. I've had a full schedule so far. I need to take a short break. So one more question today, and then we go on. Okay. Is it better to answer every question asked by the interviewer during an interview, or can you selectively answer some of them? Unbelievable. Let me be blunt. What do you think the answer is? They want answers to every question. They don't want you to go, I don't feel like answering that one. Or, excuse me? Yeah, I don't feel like answering that every question. Can we skip that one and go to the next one? As long as it's like Game of Thrones. So, yes, they want you to answer every question, not be selective. Whatever they ask you, they want to know that you can handle it. So, I'm Jeff Altman. I hope you found this helpful. Visit my website, thebiggamehunter.us. There's a ton in the blog that can help you. Plus, you can schedule time for a free discovery call or a coaching session Find out about my courses, books, and guides. There's a lot there to help. Also, connect or follow me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IAD, /the big game hunter. Mention that you watch this. I like knowing I'm helping some people. And once we're connected, your network will be a lot bigger. Have a terrific day and be great.